Okay. All right. I think this government has got all. I come from a constituency where, in the hierarchy of their needs, probably food would come on top. Yeah, the government should be telling us that they have successfully dealt with the question of the cost of unga, the cost of fuel, the cost of transport, the cost of electricity, and after that cost of food and basic commodities, you would probably go to the cost of things like education. So if you look at what they have allocated to the education, 168 billion, as against roads, 270-something billion. How are our priorities? How does housing become our priority number one? If you look at Article 43 of the Constitution, which they are relying on, that the government must take steps to ensure that people have affordable housing. The article talks about the government making an enabling environment to make you have access to an affordable house. It does not say that you have a right to have a house, that it must give you a house. It is the right to have an access to an affordable house. That house can be built by anybody, like was being built by private-public partnership, like was being built with the houses being built under the social community arrangement. It does not mean that you need to tax the rest of the Kenyan people in order to ensure that. Number two, when you are saying that under Schedule 4 of the Constitution, housing is devolved, and the government has all its hands and knees dipped into how this thing is going to be managed. If they were serious, they would have created a legal framework in which they say that we will tax, and then we will give the counties a conditional grant in which they build houses in phases. Houses that should perhaps be done in phases, for example, demonstrate that you can do houses for teachers, demonstrate that you can do affordable houses for the police, and then we phase them out. And then say the next counties that we want to is probably come to Nairobi. But you cannot go under Article 43 with the model that they have approached. The affordable housing model that they have is a profit-oriented model. Social housing and community housing, the nature that will solve housing problems for Mathare, cannot be done under the profit-motivated model. And no investor is going to come to Kenya to make houses if they are not going to make profit. If they are going to make profit, it is not going to be affordable. Number three, if they are going to use technology to make cheap houses, that means the very things that they are saying they are going to achieve is going to be unemployment. You have seen in Kericho people demonstrating and banning machines because of mechanization. If they are to afford that thing called affordable housing under technology, it means that the people of Mathare and Kibra will not even be able to work in that place. We think the government ought to get its priorities right. Right now, and this is my last point, the government should be concentrating on education. And even before education, they should be thinking before we come with a fund. We deal with things in the nature that the way Singapore did when they came with affordable housing. They dealt with governance issues. We have serious governance issues, corruption issues. How many funds have we had in this country in which, after they have been put in place, are misappropriated? We have not dealt with governance issues in KEBSA. So those are issues that we need to deal with. Right now, my constituency, the biggest concern in education. I have 80,000 school-going students in primary school. Out of those, the public schools can only accommodate 24,000. 56,000 of those go to schools that are neither public nor private. Under the Education Act, you categorize education to mean public or private. There is a category, about 56,000 of them in my constituency are called APBET schools, Alternative Provision for Basic Education. Schools that go to a church, which on Sunday, the church that he goes to PAG, ikiwacha kuwa kanisa on Sunday, on Monday it is a school Monday to Friday. A social hall where people do other things on Friday and Saturday. And then on Monday to Friday, it is a school. They don't have capitation. They do not have teachers. They are not registered. They don't even have a NEMIS registration. Now, the last point. Our capitation is at 1,410, which has not been paid first term, second term. Only recently, they released a part of it. If you look at the current status of the economy today, capitation per student to capitalize one student to go to school is 7,400 shillings. If you add a CBC, another 7,400. So it is about 15,000 to capitalize one student, as opposed to the capitation which you are putting of 1,400. So if you have not demonstrated that you can do education and properly educate our students, you have not demonstrated that you can make sure that Kenyans eat, you have not demonstrated that the health sector can work, why do you want to provide housing for this school? It is for that reason that we reject, and Kenyans must reject and call out this government for what it is. This housing is a scheme, what used to be called DESI. You know that Ponzi scheme? I represented Joe Donde during that time. Hiyo kitu ya Ponzi scheme. They were taking from teachers, they were taking from policemen, they were taking from ordinary people like this hustler. At you put this money here, after X number of years, you are going to get this. That is what they are telling us with housing. Government wants to borrow from the ordinary, suffering, struggling Kenyans. And I can tell you, the levels of suicide and mental cases will triple by the year 2027.
Very intelligent.